Hello everyone, this is Piyush. Welcome to my channel. This video is specifically for F1 students who want to file their federal taxes and don't have any software access. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. The deadline for tax filing is approaching, that is 15th April 2024. So by now we should start filling out our forms and get it ready so we can send it out before the deadline. Last year, I got many positive comments from people all around the US stating that my US tax filings were useful for them. It was really good to know, and this inspired me to make yet another video for the year 2023. If your university provides Glacier software access, you can watch my video right here. The Glacier software makes it quite easy for us to fill our federal tax forms, but if you don't have any access, you can definitely refer to this video and it will be useful for you without paying any agent. I have many friends who go to agents and pay them 50 or 100 bucks because it makes it convenient for them. But again, I want to mention that tax filing, especially as a F1 student, is not that difficult. It just you have to learn a bit, and the form filling is very easy because typically as a student we don't have much sources of income apart from employment, internship, or part-time income. So I would highly recommend building this habit of trying to fill out the tax forms by yourself. Yes, there will definitely be complications down the line, but at least if we try filling out our tax forms, we know how much taxes we could get as a refund or how much taxes we owe to the government, and we exactly know how the calculations are done, which is always a good thing to know. And you become financially independent and you don't completely depend on anyone to fill out your taxes or take care of your financial lives. The only thing before getting started is you should have all the forms where you earned your income. It might be form W2, which shows how much income you earned through your employment. It might be form 1099 DIV, which stands for dividend income. It might be 1099 INT, which stands for interest income. So I will tell you my situation for tax filing so that you know if this video is actually helpful for you or not. The first is that I am an F1 student. I just graduated in December from Purdue and currently I am on my OPT. The second is that I earned my income through W2, which is I had an internship as well as I worked part-time through Purdue. So I have two W2s. Additionally, last year I had two different types of income, that is dividend income and interest income. So if you had this type of income, this video will be really useful for you. But if you didn't have this income, you can just skip this part where I explain the dividend and interest income. The next is that I'm an Indian citizen, so there is a tax treaty between US and India where we can claim standard deductions similar to the US citizens. But I know that many of the countries also have tax treaties with the US. So if you are a citizen from a country other than India, you can go through the official websites of the US government and make sure if your country has any tax treaty with the United States. The next is that I am a non-resident alien for tax purposes. There is some calculation which says if you are a non-resident alien or a US resident. So make sure you do that because I think the tax laws change based on if you are a US resident or a US non-resident alien. So now you know my situation for the tax filing year 2023. So if any of these conditions apply to you, you can definitely watch this video. But if you had any other incomes apart from the ones that I stated, this video might specifically not help you, but I would be more than happy to help you. You can just reach out to me at my email and we can discuss it further. I will try to help in the best way I can so that it becomes easier for you and we can go through it together. So feel free to reach out to me on my email. I want to give out one disclaimer. I'm not a tax professional. I'm just a student like you all currently on my OPT. So if you have any other tax complications that I won't be able to cover in this video, please consult your tax professional at your university or any other tax agent. But this is how I filled out my federal tax form, so you can definitely refer to this. So now I will start sharing my screen and let's get into it. So the first form to download is the form 1040 NR. Make sure it's for the year 2023. Start by putting your first name and middle initial and your last name, your social security number right here, and your home address. You don't have to fill anything in this, so you can leave it blank, and your filing status as per your situation. This asks for did you receive or sell or exchange any digital asset. So for me it was no, so I will click that. If you have any dependents, you can fill this box or you can just keep it blank. The first line 1A shows the total amount from form W2s. So if you add multiple W2s, make sure you add all the amounts. If you have two W2s, add both of them and add the combined amount right here. You can just go through all these lines right here, but none of them were applicable to me, so I will just skip it. So I will just skip to the line 1Z, which says add lines 1A through 1H. So we don't have anything here. We'll just enter the same amount. Again, we don't have anything right here. So as I mentioned, I had dividends as well as interest income last year. So we will have another form for that. So you don't have to fill anything in these. So you can just keep it blank. Then move directly to the line 9, which says add all of these. We don't have anything right here. So again, it will be the same amount. We don't have any total adjustments to income, so we will keep it as 0. And this says subtract line 10 from line 9, so again it will be the same amount. Now this says that for certain residents of India, standard deduction. So as I mentioned, India has a tax treaty with US where we can claim standard deduction like the US citizens. So you need to add a text box right here. And you can change the text to blue, as all the entries we are putting here is in blue. And the standard deduction amount is 13,850 for the year 2023. We will just enter it right here. Go to the box 14 and add the same amount which you have here, because we don't have anything here. Now for this line you have to subtract line 14 from line 11. So line 14 from line 11. If your income is less than this amount, you just have to enter 0, as you can see here. So I will just subtract this from this amount. Now let's go to the next page. So if your taxable income from box 15 is 0, your job is easier because you just have to enter 0 right here. But if you have some income on the box 15, you have to see the federal tax income slabs for the year 2023 and calculate the tax based on your taxable income in box 15. So let's see the federal tax slab for the year 2023. You can go to this link. This site will show you all the income tax rates based on your income. You can scroll down and select the one that applies for you. If you are single filer, then click on this. So see where your income falls based on these incomes. So if your income is 0 to 11,000, it will be 10% of the income. My taxable income is 27,515, so it will fall in the second bracket. So the thing to note is that it's not taxed at flat 12%, but it's a marginal tax slab. So for me it will be 1100 plus 12% on the amount over 11,000. Income was 27,515.58. I will deduct it from 11,000, which comes out to be 16,515.58. So I will apply the 12% on that, which comes out to be 1981.87, and I will add 1100 to that. So the total tax that comes out for me is 3081.87. I will just round it off to 3082 and enter it on box 16 on our form. So I will enter. We don't have anything right here. For the 18th box we will add 16 and 17, so it will be the same. Nothing to be added here. We don't have any schedule 3. This says add lines 19 and 20, so again we don't have anything. It will be 0. The 22nd box shows subtract line 21 from line 18. Again we don't have anything, so the amount will be same. So if you had any dividend or interest income in 2023, it will come right here, which shows tax on income not effectively connected with a US business. So we will have to go to schedule NEC. So let's go to that. If you didn't have this income, you can just skip the schedule NEC part and move to the next form. If you had any dividend or interest income, follow me in the next steps. Let's download schedule NEC. So the first is entering the name as shown on 1040 NR. Enter your social security number. So as you see, this shows the dividends and dividend equivalents. So if you invested in a stock market, you invested it through a brokerage, you will mostly be paid dividends by US corporations. We will have to fill the box 1A. And for non-residents in India, we are taxed at flat 30%. I'm not honestly sure how the tax works for other countries, but for India, I know that it is taxed at flat 30%. So we'll enter 0 right here, 0 here, and the amount of dividends that you received. So dividends are two types, one is ordinary dividends and one is qualified. So when you get a dividend, you will have a form 1099 div. Remember that you will only get this form if you had dividends more than $10, and it will show the amount of ordinary dividends and qualified dividends you earned in the financial year. I earned $41.12, so I will enter that right here. If you had any interest income, this will come under the box 2C, which says other. Thing to note is that there are two types of interest, so it's important where you received your interest from. Again, for the interest, you will receive a form named 1099 INT. If you received your interest through a US bank which provides checking or savings account, you don't have to enter any interest in this table. But if you received any interest from a financial institution which is not a US bank and consider itself as a brokerage or investment account, you have to enter the interest that you received in this box right here. So I put my money in a financial institution named Wealthfront. In their disclosure, they clearly mentioned that they are not a US bank and they are an investment or brokerage account. So it will be taxed at flat 30%. I will have to enter the amount right here. Can put the other boxes as 0. I don't know how the rule is set up, but this is really bad. And I would say you only put your money in a US bank so that your interest is not taxed at such a high percent. But I invested it through a brokerage account, so it is taxed at flat 30%, which I regret it now. But it's a good thing to know. If you haven't already opened a high yield savings account, you can look for other options or a US bank which might provide 3 or 4 or 5% on your savings. So I didn't have any capital income, so I will enter 0 in all the boxes. Now coming to the line 13, you just have to add lines 1A through 12. And the 14th box says that multiply line 13 by the rate of tax at top of each column. So you will have to enter this amount and multiply it by 10%, multiply this by 15, multiply this by 30, and so on. Again, if you didn't have any capital gains like me, you can just enter 0 and 0 right here. So this is how you complete your schedule NEC. Again, if you didn't have any dividend or interest income this year, but if you anticipate any of these income in your next year, make sure you remember this form, because this is where you will put all the values right here. This was my first time earning interest and dividends, so it was a shocking thing for me to note that it is taxed at such a high percentage. I was disappointed, but that's how it is. Now let's go back to our form 1040 NR and enter the tax amount that we just calculated. Don't have any other tax including self-employment tax, no transportation tax. So in 23D we will just add 23A, 23B, 23C. That will be 89.33 for me. The box 24 you have to add lines 22 and 23D. This will be my total tax for the year 2023. So I will add 3082 plus 89.33. Now I have to go back to these forms and see how much federal tax was deducted. Again, if you had multiple W2s, make sure you add all the federal tax withheld and add the amount right here. If you had the forms 1099 DIV and INT, and if you see any federal tax withheld, you will enter the amount right here. But for me, no federal tax was withheld from the forms 1099, so I will enter 0. The box 25D is simply the addition of all these, so it will simply be 4304.46. Again, there's nothing right here, so I will just leave it blank and move to the box 32, which says add lines 28, 29 and 31. So I didn't have anything in this, so it will be 0. Then box 33 says add lines 25D, 25E, 25F, 25G, 26 and 32. Add all these boxes and enter the amount right here. This section is for the refund, so if line 33 is more than line 24, subtract line 24 from line 33. For me, the line 33 is more than the line 24, so I will be eligible for a refund, and I will just subtract line 24 from line 33, which comes out to be 1132.13. 35A says amount of line 34 you want refunded to you, so you can enter the entire amount right here. And now you have to select which type of account you want your refund in, whether it's a checking or savings account. You can enter the routing number and enter the account number. Make sure it's correct because this is where you will be getting your refund. Don't make any mistake in entering your account information. As we are getting a refund, you have to leave this portion blank. Do you want to allow another person to discuss this return with the IRS? So you can again leave this portion blank. This section is important. I was a student in the year 2023. Then enter my phone number and my email address. This section can be left blank because we filled out all the form by ourselves and not by any paid preparer. Put your signature and the date when you printed out the form. Don't forget this, otherwise your form 1040 will be incomplete. Make sure you add your signature by hand and also the date. That's it for the form 1040 NR. The form 1040 NR is the main tax form for non-resident aliens. So once we are done with this, the main part is done. We are now remaining with only two forms, which are just basic information forms. So make sure you do all the calculations correctly and see if you are eligible for any refund or you are owing any amount to the government. Now let's move to the next form. Start by entering your name again in the similar format to the one you entered in 1040 NR. Your social security number here. First question is of what country or countries were you a citizen or national during the tax year, and in what country did you claim residence for tax purposes during the tax year? Again it will be India. Have you ever applied to be a green card holder? No. Were you ever a US citizen? No. A green card holder? No. So you can just read these options and click the appropriate options. The next question is if you had a US visa on the last day of the tax year, enter your visa type. Have you ever changed your visa type or US immigration status? So I entered the US as an F1 student and currently I'm an F1 student, so I will enter no. Now the next section says list all dates you entered and left the United States during the year 2023. You can simply enter a text box to enter the dates. After going to India on 22nd July, I came back to India on 1st September. And I again went back to India after my graduation on 27th December 2023. Came back from India to the US on 4th Feb 2024, but this question only concerns with the year 2023, so I won't enter here 4th Feb 2024. The next question is give number of days including vacation, non-work days you were present in the US for each of these financial years. So I came in spring 2022, I came on 28th December 2021, so the year 2021 it was 4 days for me. For 2022 it was 265 and for 2023 it was 321. You can just calculate the number of days simply by saying when you went out of the US and when you came back. So for example, if you went to India for 30 days, you will deduct 30 from 365 and enter the respective number of days for each of the financial year. Financial year starts from 1st January until 31st December, so calculate the number of days accordingly. Next is did you file a US income tax return for any prior year? Yes, I filed that last year, so I will click on yes. But if this is your first time filing tax return, you will click on no. And if yes, you can put 2022 form 1040 NR. Next is are you filing a return for a trust? You should click on no. Did you receive total compensation of 250k or more during the tax year? It was no for me, so I will enter no. The next question is for income exempt from tax. So we had a US income treaty, but if you remember, we put it on the 1040 NR, so we don't have to put anything in this box. We will just keep it blank. That's it for the schedule OI. Now the last form to fill is form 8843. This is an important form. I think it's a visa compliant form. So no matter if you earned your income during the financial year or not, this form is a must and you should enter all the required information in this form. Start by entering your first name and initial, your last name, your social security number, and fill this address only if you are filing this form by itself. If you didn't have any income, you should enter the address right here, but if you had an income and you filled the form 1040 NR, you don't have to put anything in this. You can just keep it blank. The first question is type of US visa and date you entered the United States. Current non-immigration status, as I mentioned, I'm still a F1 student. Of what country or countries were you a citizen during the tax year? What country issued you a passport? Enter your passport number right here. Next, you have to enter the actual number of days you were present in the US, similar to the number of days we entered in the schedule OI. So you can just take those numbers and enter right here. Put it in the correct order because in the schedule OI it was 2021, 2022, 2023, but in this form it's the opposite. So don't make any mistakes in this. Part 2 can be left blank because it is only for teachers and trainees. We have to move to the part 3, which is for students. The question is enter the name, address and telephone number of the academic institution. I was a Purdue student and their address and the phone number on the next line. Next is enter the name, address and phone number of the director of the academic. So for Purdue, we got an email stating what information we have to enter for our university representative. Make sure you have the right information. If you don't have it, you can just contact your university or visit the relevant office. If you are a Purdue student and got the mail, you can enter this information. This is 155 South Grand Street, so I will just make the changes. The next is enter the type of US visa for each of these years. Next question is were you exempt as a teacher, trainee or student for any part of more than 5 calendar years? For me it's no. In 2023 did you apply for any lawful permanent resident status? So again for me it's no. Second page of the form, you don't have to fill anything in this because this is for professional athletes, and the last part is for individuals with a medical condition. So if you had any medical condition and if this part applies to you, make sure you fill that, otherwise you can just leave it blank. You don't have to sign here if you are also attaching the form 1040 NR, but again if you are only filing this form by itself, you need to sign and put the date. That's it for the form 8843. We filled out all the relevant forms for the federal tax filing. As you all saw, the federal tax filing for F1 students is not that difficult and we got it done so easily. You just have to know which forms to fill, which lines to be filled, and how to calculate your taxes. Make sure you do all the calculations correctly because we don't want to mess up anything in the federal tax forms. Your job is not done after just filling out the forms. Now it's your duty to print out these forms, sign and date wherever required, and send it to the correct address before the deadline. You can see my video right here showing where to send your tax documents to the IRS. And again, remember that this is only the federal tax filing. If you earned your income through any of the states which require you to file a state tax, you should definitely do that and it has to be done separately. Comment down if you have any doubts. I will try to clarify in the best way I can. Also, you can reach out to me at my email to discuss further if you have any more doubts. Like and subscribe my channel if you find my content useful. Share this video with your friends who don't have any software access, and let's make each and everyone financially independent so that everyone tries to fill their tax forms by themselves. It's such a great thing to have a community like you all where we are taking personal responsibility for our lives and also growing together and showing a willingness to learn. Thank you again for watching this video. Until next time.